For more on the situation in Iraq, we're joined now by Raymond Tanter. He's a political science professor at Georgetown University right here in Washington, D.C. He's also a former member of the White House National Security Council during the Reagan-Bush administration. Mr. Tanter, thank you so much for coming in and being part of our discussion today.
My pleasure.
Tell me, what does the U.S. do at this point? Can it afford not to get involved? Can it afford to get involved?
Well, the United States is involved whether it takes military action or not. And one of the problems is that once the Iranian Islamic Revolutionary Guards Corps surfaces explicitly, that means that Iran will be calling the shots. So the issue then is whether the United States puts military advisors on the ground, and the only way you can have airstrikes is to have people who are on the ground with targeting intelligence. There's no such thing as no combat, no troops on the ground, no boots on the ground once you start talking about airstrikes. People, Susan, people don't live in the air, they don't live on the sea, they live on the ground. The only way you could bring about change on the ground is to have people on the ground.
Right, okay, so we've sent 3 Navy ships to the Persian Gulf right now to protect American interests. I mean, at this point, is this not enough to intimidate this group, at the very least, to push them back?
No, Islamic State of Iraq and Syria wants military strikes because these terrorists are embedded with the civilian population. It doesn't make for a good optic, Susan, if you have American airstrikes that inadvertently hit children. And it'll be on the video, it will go viral, everyone will be talking about America is back doing damage against Muslims again.
Right, okay, so they've got Mosul to Crete. Moving into Baghdad, is that a real possibility?
No, I don't think they need to go to Baghdad. Baghdad is a mixed bag, if you will. You have too many Shia militias there. You have the Islamic Revolutionary Guards Corps. You have the Shia in the south coming up north. So all you need to do, if I were giving advice to a terrorist organization, I'd say hold on to what you have, consolidate your gains, talk big. But the big problem, the gorilla in the room is Iran. The Iranian regime has said to Baghdad, don't compromise with the Sunnis. And Baghdad complies. And that lack of political compromise opens the door, if you will, to such groups as the Islamic State of Iraq, which then goes into Fallujah, which goes into Mosul. In fact, it started out in Mosul and went to Syria and then came back to Mosul. So this is not new. And one of the things I look for with dread is that the fact that the Iranian regime's proxies will start attacking Iranian dissidents in Iraq, which also means lack of political compromise in Iraq.
What is ISIS' end game here?
The end game is what we're doing. We're talking about it. ISIS, the general public never heard of it hardly, but now it's a household word. It has no end game in terms of this idea of a caliphate. It doesn't have to. It says it wants to combine all of these states together, but that's not a realistic kind of an option. These states may fall apart at some point anyway. They don't. Iraq was glommed together at the turn of the century by the major powers.
What is the best case scenario of what could happen right now to calm them down?
Best case scenario is for there to be political compromise among Sunnis, Shia, and the Kurds. And what that would mean is that al-Maliki would step down and bring someone else in, a more moderate Shiite, who would be who would be able to stand up to Tehran's request to crack down on the Sunnis.
Yes, okay. Thank you so much for your insight and for being a part of our discussion today. We really appreciate it, Mr. Tanter from Georgetown.
My pleasure.